Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless.
Good evening. Welcome to the John E. Marlow Guitar Series. My name is Candace Mowbray, and I am the Education and Grant Specialist for Marlow Guitar International. Tonight's concert features the North Meets South duo, comprised of vocalist John Wesley Wright and MGI's very own artistic director Danielle Cumming, in a program themed From Spain to Spirituals. Make sure to stay after the concert for a Q&A session via Zoom with the artist, and you can access that event with the second link that was provided in your confirmation email. We're going to begin a little bit differently this evening. Rather than a pre-concert lecture, we're going to begin with an interview with the artist, hosted by Dr. Robert Tudor. Dr. Tudor is Director of Vocal Activities and Dean of the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences at Shepherd University. His multifaceted career has included work as a professional singer, an educator, and a nonprofit executive. From educational leadership and fundraising for schools and civic organizations, to directing opera and theater productions and championing innovative performance practices, advocacy, entrepreneurship, and partnership have been priorities in his work. As a singer, Dr. Tudor has performed in the genres of opera, early music, musical theater, and cabaret, and as a concert soloist throughout the United States, appearing with numerous ensembles such as the Washington Bach Consort, Montana Early Music Festival, Maryland Handel Festival, and the Jacksonville and Maryland Symphony Orchestras. The Washington Post praised his powerful singing and notable acting skills. Additionally, Dr. Tudor is a skilled amateur classical guitarist and host of Liberally Speaking, a podcast created to explore the liberal arts and the lives of the individuals that create within them.
Thank you so much, Candace, for inviting me to be a part of this. I really appreciate it. I am delighted to be here with Dr. John Wesley Wright and Dr. Danielle Cumming, and I'm so excited about your program. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, our pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And so if you're new to this Marlow Guitar Series, as I am this year, of course, Dr. Danielle Cumming is, of course, associated with Marlow Guitar Series, Marlow Guitar International. She's Associate Professor and Head of Guitar Studies at Salisbury University and Artistic Director of Marlow Guitar International. And then Dr. John Wesley Wright is Associate Professor and Head of Voice at Salisbury University. And I'm just delighted to have this time with you both. Shall we just go right in?
Let's dive in.
Sure.
So I understand.
Unless the questions are too difficult.
So I understand that you both started collaborating in 2007. Yes. So what was that first concert like the two of you done together, and how many concerts do you think you've done together over the years?
Danielle.
Well, I think we first started out because we're colleagues at Salisbury University. So I think the first concert we did together was our students that we were first putting together, one of the student programs, and then we sort of brought in some of my students with John's students, and we did that a few times, I think, and it was just so fun. But then we were sort of living vicariously through our students and thought, why don't we just perform together as well?
Yeah.
We added that in.
And show them how to do this.
Now, your program is titled From Spain to Spirituals. What was the driving force behind creating this program for this concert?
So I'll back up a little bit. So first of all, we just, after 10 years, settled on a name for our duo.
Right.
And so we call ourselves North Meets South. And that is part geographic, Danielle being a Torontonian. Am I saying that correctly?
You are saying it very well.
And I am a Roman from Georgia. And Danielle has spent extensive time in Spain studying, and I have a background in Baroque music and Renaissance and African American spirituals. So it just dawned on us that it made sense that the North meets South aspect, and then our backgrounds in Spanish music and spirituals. And I thought from Spain to spirituals opens the door for a lot to happen in between. So
Yeah, and it's a beautiful program that you've crafted here, from everything from the Renaissance to the contemporary styles of music. I want to start just sort of walking us through the program. The program begins with the 16th century music of Luis de Narvaez and Alonso de Mudara. Now, Narvaez was born in Granada. He was a composer and a musician in the service of the Spanish royal court, and he's best known for his music for the Vihuela. And then composer Mudara was connected with the cathedral in Seville in the second half of his life. So Danielle, you're featuring the Cancion del Emperador from the collection. Is it from the collection of Los Seis Libros de Delfín?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that collection?
Yeah, so Narvaez for us as guitarists is just, I find it just chillingly beautiful. And so he was writing for Vihuela, as you said, and Vihuela, it's not like that the guitar grew out of the Vihuela. The guitar and the Vihuela coexisted, but that the Vihuela, was very, like, they called it punteados, the idea of like plucked and very, contrapuntal, like lots of voices and these beautiful chords and ornaments and stuff. Guitar at the same time kind of existed in a very kind of a more rhythmic function, like kind of a, 4 strings strummed, kind of like how we think of strummed guitar now. So it's I think the music is so, it's just so developed and it's so interesting. And when I think about his years, so he was born just around the same time that, Isabella and Ferdinand were at the height of their power, and Columbus was off charging around and finding, places Europeans hadn't found before. And so it's amazing to think of how developed the musical community was in Spain at that time. So, where Narvaez was kind of the seat of the power of the Spanish Empire. And so there's a lot musically going on. And this piece, the Cancion, and part of the reason why I chose it is because it is based on the song Mille Regrets. And actually, a lot of the pieces that I've chosen on the program to be solo have kind of a vocal connection. I think I'm in my own way trying to be a singer. So I'm borrowing from the vocal repertoire. So it's an arrangement of a song sung the only way I can sing.
Dr. Tudor, Robert Tudor, that all instrumentalists really want to be singers.
That's
that
true.
to be true.
And I myself am a guitar hobbyist. I started when I turned 40, so I play classical guitar, and so I'm a singer that wants to be a guitarist. Yeah.
Well, then we have some common ground in the middle. Yeah.
So the other piece it's called Viancico. Is that how it's pronounced? It's loosely called it's a Spanish secular song, but the word is derived from the word villa or city, which indicates that this type of song had some kind of street appeal to it. So does Isabel, perdiste la tua faxa? Is it fascia?
So fascia, I've heard here 3 different ways.
Sure. Okay.
Fascia, faja, and fascia, and faxa.
Okay. Is this like a type of street song? Is it fun to sing in that respect?
You hear Isabel performed in several ways. You hear a very up tempo, jaunty feel sometimes. I think the way that we perform it is a little more lyrical, but also inviting some ornamentation and spontaneity as well.
Mm.
So tell them what the lyrics are.
Yes, yes. I mean, the lyrics are really what draws us. Isabel, you have lost your girdle. You've lost your girdle in the river there, and so for a modern ear, when you first read that, you're thinking you have this picture of an actual girdle, but um, so it's not girdle in the sense of the way we think of it, but more like a satchel or a belt.
Oh,
But that, yes, so that was the Renaissance meaning for a girdle.
sure.
However, it is there is anecdotally, we really don't know whether Isabel is in the rivers swimming nude
Hmm.
or not. So uh, we'll just let the imagination
Leave it to our imagination.
run free.
Danielle, do you do anything with the guitar when you're playing earlier music, like use a capo or something to make this sound similar to a smaller guitar or something like
I
that?
do, yeah. And I actually use a capo a lot when I'm working with John because it's so much fun to just explore range. And some keys just really feel right. But exactly as you say, traditionally when you're playing a modern guitar, like the guitar could have got more and more full as time went on and kind of broadened the range. But the vihuela, in our imagination anyway, the vihuela has a little bit of a higher and more urgent kind of so tone. So I do capo up. I'm putting capo on the third fret for the darbayas and up to the fifth fret for the mudara. So
Wow.
it's nice and it's high.
So you have some
Yes.
Dowland pieces on the program next, and of course we know John Dowland is of course a prolific composer and lutenist, um,
Right.
and he worked all over Europe, in France and Germany and Italy and England, of course. And that I didn't wasn't aware. Like I know him as a lutenist and as a composer of songs of secular songs. I didn't know until looking up that he had actually written sacred works and psalms, and he wrote a lot for instrumental consorts. Um, John, do you have a favorite of these Dowland pieces that you do?
Um, Probably my favorite of the three that we are doing is the one that Daniel probably hates playing the most, but she's grown to love it because every single time we do concerts, I say we've got to put "Can She Excuse My Wrongs" on the piece on the program. So I think
It's very versatile. We did it once for a Mother's Day concert. It seemed very appropriate. Can't you forgive us?
yes, we did. But these three are probably considered greatest hits, and but because of the Galliard, the syncopation, the offbeat feel, I just absolutely love this. So that's probably my favorite. And then Flow My Tears, a tenor and a slow song. I mean,
Oh
so.
Um, so your program continues, and we move into back to the heart of Spain, and we go to the 18th, or rather the 19th and 20th centuries. First, with a piece by Tárrega, and he, of course, was known for reviving the guitar as a solo instrument in recitals and concerts, and wrote nearly 80 original works for guitar and over 100 transcriptions. Then you continue with songs by composer and guitarist Rodrigo, known famously, obviously, by most of us for his Concierto de Aranjuez for guitar and orchestra. Now, Danielle, you're offering this iconic piece, Recuerdos de la Alhambra by Tárrega, written in 1899. I've loved this piece forever because to me, it's very meditative. What is it about this piece that speaks to you?
Yeah, it's sort of one of the first pieces a guitarist probably falls in love with. It's such a famous tune. And I think, again, it's that idea that guitar the moment we play a string, it starts to fade. Like, so we have no ability, like a violin could play a note and crescendo the note, and a singer can crescendo and it'll get louder. And so wind players can hold a note, but guitar, the only way that we can create the illusion that a note is lasting is through that technique of tremolo. And so it's again one of those pieces where I'm just trying to imagine that if I could sing, that would be the line to sing. And yeah, I mean, what an incredible place that is. I had, it's just such a thrill to go and see it, and to know the history and the beautiful architecture and the gardens. And so just, it's like for guitarists, it's kind of like, the starting point for all beautiful repertoire. And yeah, I've always loved it. There's times I get kind of nervous of it, but it's a big piece because it's so famous. But it's one of those pieces, when I was practicing as a student, I would always remember my mom stopping what she was doing and just saying, "Oh, listen," and then she'd always like stop for a minute and hear it. And so I always think of my mom with this piece, and it's just sort of a nod to good memories and a very beautiful place, of course.
That's nice. Um, so you continue with several songs from Cuatro Madrigals Amatorios, four amatory madrigals by Rodrigo. What drew you to these pieces, and what might not we expect from them as you two collaborate on this, or what is it about these pieces?
Well, I don't. First of all, I don't. I'm not sure that they're arranged for voice and guitar for very long. I mean, this is, as we search for repertoire, it was something that I just discovered just a couple of years ago, and as a voice teacher, that in the field there's certain literature that becomes associated with a certain voice type. And I remember many moons ago in graduate school, I had a teacher, Miss Henderson, and she in Cincinnati, and they're always sopranos sang these songs.
Right.
And really, when you YouTube it, you really only see females singing these songs. And this teacher, she said, really look at the lyrics, and these songs really can be sung by a man.
Yeah.
And so it was just it was an opportunity. I've taught them for so long, and so the newness is with the tenor voice and with the guitar. So they're beautiful. I've lived with them, for a long time as a teacher. So now get to be the performer.
That brings me to something that I was going to cover later on, but I figure why not bring it forth now? You mentioned the fact that they're often done by soprano, and I think part of that has to do with the fact that the timbre of the guitar and the voice, it's really hard to find that balance between the two instruments. So generally speaking, higher voices tend to complement the guitar and work really well with the guitar. Medium and lower voices, obviously not, because there's because of the resonance and the partials that are coming out, they tend to obscure what is coming out from the guitar. How do you uh, navigate the balance issues with the voice, with the guitar?
Well, I find that this always just feels like a really natural pairing. And I think it is nice to have the range of keys. We talked about using, like, sort of going higher and exploring like different ranges. I never really find it to be too, I never feel like it's a battle. Like, I always sort of feel like we lock in, and I always feel like we have kind of, I think I'm always in my singing the lyrics in my head. And so I always feel like we're breathing together. And I think that's also what we've talked about, this, how it's kind of exciting to do voice and guitar, because Um, Guitar, you can respond with your fingers right at the moment you believe the singer is about to come in. Like with piano, there's so much machinery to the action of you strike the key and then like levers happen and a hammer happens. And I'm always in awe of the pianists who are really in tune with their singer because they're navigating a very complicated instrument. Whereas for us, it's our fingernails on the string. And so well, that's what I think gives our duo and voice and guitar duos in general this kind of flexibility and ability to kind of yeah, just really breathe together. I think that the nature of the pairing really allows for that.
And for me, Robert, it is just like a great relief because I, I've, I've always been one of the singers that's sort of been on the cusp of, am I really an opera singer or am I, am I a Broadway singer? Am I a pop singer? Am I a jazz singer, an improviser? What am I? And so when I'm with the guitar, I'm able to live in this, in this realm of being of simplicity and flexibility and elasticity and just have a blast without feeling like I'm not being heard.
Right, because it's almost like the artistic palette gets a little bit broader, right? You're not
Yes.
you're not having to push yourself to your limit to work over an orchestra. So therefore, your palette of choices gets much bigger, and there's a sensitivity to it. And I think that there's something about the guitar being so close to the body of the guitarist that there's a similarity in the feeling of singing as with playing with the guitar.
Yes, really true. And I was going to say, I have a little bit of a secret weapon. If you can see on my guitar, I have a sound port, is what it's called. And so it's kind of like a sound hole, but for me. So it's really a nice way of like knowing the balance. So I'm hearing myself more intimately as well as the sound is being projected. So yeah, so it kind of gives me kind of a built-in sense of balance too. So. But yes, exactly as you said, that's really good insight. Really true.
So I'm trying to figure out where I am in my notes here. Yes.
From
So
straight into spirituals.
yeah, let's get into spiritual. So at the last part of your program, you have chosen 5 beautiful and powerful African American spirituals, and I know that of course, John, I know that you do these in concert repertoire quite often, and the two of you do these pieces. Do you do these spirituals together in concert together frequently, or
We
do you,
do, we
yeah,
do, and we do frequently. In fact, I think it's safe to say that it's really a hallmark or a foundation of our programs. So, if your question is why these particular ones,
yeah, I was curious about these particular ones. Yes.
yeah. There are 4. There are 2 that I call the witness pieces, and then the other 2 I would say are the home pieces.
Mm.
So there are these running themes throughout spirituals, and and also you kind of have subgenres when you're talking about spirituals. So they're the storytelling kind, and then they're the more meditative kinds. And so we just have a nice balance there. And then also in our programs we try to also include a little audience participation, and often have people do the response to the call. So
And Danielle, I noticed that you arranged "Witness" for guitar, and that other people, guitarists, had arranged these pieces. Are there any challenges or wonderful opportunities that come for arranging for spirituals?
Yeah, and it's kind of a new project for me, the idea of doing some arranging. But it's very exciting working on this. So the the piece Witness that I arranged, I have it written for, it was from a piano and voice. And Roland Hayes had a pianist that he worked with throughout his entire career, Reginald Boardman. And so those two are kind of they're a pair. And so as we were researching Roland Hayes, I also wanted to look into his pianist as well, because they're just such a nice complement. And so I really am trying to, as much as the guitar can, kind of integrate the isms that he was doing with his rhythms primarily. And guitar is like 3.5 octaves. We don't have the range or anything, but it's what's really nice about these pieces is, they're not the piano version is also very centered in the piano. Like they're not they're not complex arrangements, so I think they're really well suited. And I think they work better on guitar.
It's really great. And I'll mention another piece. Here's one by the arrangement is by William Grant Still. And so I tour regularly with a group called the American Spiritual Ensemble. And that is a group of trained, very loud, 20 people sound like 200 people group. But the uniqueness of the group is that we have signature pieces. And here's one that I step out of the group and sing for almost every single concert. And when I realized that there was it was also written for guitar, I was like, natural, here we go.
Yeah.
No.
Mhm.
Well, I think our time's coming to a close here, and I wanted to thank you so much for granting me the opportunity to talk with both of you, and for collaborating and bringing this concert to the series. I can't wait to see it. I one last question for you. I asked this as someone who also who sings, and I know we're going to hear beautiful artistry. I know we're going to hear beautiful interpretation. I've seen videos of your performances. You are both well-established and fantastic, sensitive artists. When it's all said and done, and we're reflecting back on this concert, what do you hope people will reflect upon and remember of this experience?
Wow, that's quite a question. Um, Hopefully that we gave new life to old pieces, that we uh, offered something soulful and reflective and spiritual, that we inspired someone to feel something. And you definitely are afforded that opportunity in this program. Spirituals are so powerful, and to end the program, in that manner is both a risk and a reward. So,
Beautiful said.
Well, thank you so much, both of you.
Oh, thank you. Our pleasure.
And I look
looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. child, a long ways from home, a long ways from home. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. John Wesley Wright, and this is my colleague, Dr. Danielle Cumming, and together we are the North Meets South duo. Now, some of you might not have looked at your bios or the program, and you're probably wondering a little bit about this North Meets South thing. So, I have a little bit of a test for my colleague, and that will probably help you determine which one of us reflects the North and the South. So, Danielle, are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
All right. I would love for you to spell the word Process.
Process.
I'm sorry, Danielle. The word is process. But we have some prizes for you.
Thank you.
We're just having fun here. It's a blessing to have this kind of diversity, and I think you'll see that diversity in our program. Our program is from Spain to spirituals, and Danielle's going to get us started and with a solo piece.
With a piece by Luis de Narvaez called Cancion del Emperador.
The next piece, Isabel Perdiste la tu faxa by Alonso Modara, is known as a classic Viancico. In this song, I am telling Isabel that she has lost her girdle there in the water. not a modern girdle, but in the Renaissance, known as a satchel or a belt. What we don't know about Isabel is whether she's going to fetch her girdle by swimming nude or, well, just let your imagination run wild.
Isabel, Isabel, perdiste la tu fascia e la Cordova nadando por el agua, por el agua. E la Cordova nadando por el agua, por el agua. Isabel la tangarida, Isabel la Isabel, Isabel, perdiste la tu fascia e la Cordova nadando por el agua, por el agua. E la Cordova nadando por el agua, por el agua. Isabel la tangarida, Isabel la
Some of the most beautiful literature from the Renaissance are songs by John Dowland. And the ones that we're going to do, I would consider 3 of the greatest hits. What I want to point out is that the melancholy and morosity that you'll experience in these lyrics, well, that was the fashion of the day. We just wanted to let you know that we're not actually that depressed.
Can she excuse my wrongs with virtue's cloak? Shall I call her good when she proves unkind? Are those clear fires which vanish into smoke? Must I praise the leaves where no fruit I find? No, no, where shadows do for bodies stand. Thou mayst be abused if thy sight be dimmed. Cold love is like to words written on sand. or to baubles which on the water swim? Wilt thou be thus abused still, seeing that she will right thee never? If thou canst not o'ercome her will, thy love will be thus fruitless ever. Wilt thou be thus abused still, seeing that she will right thee never? If thou canst not o'ercome her will, thy love will be thus fruitless ever. Was I so base that I might not aspire unto those high joys which she holds from me? As they are high, so high is my desire. If she this deny, what can granted be? If she will yield to that which reason is, it is reason's will that love should be just. Dear, make me happy still by granting this, or cut off delays if that I die must. Better 1,000 times to die than for to live thus still tormented. Dear, but remember it was I who for thy sake did die contented. Better 1,000 times to die than for to live thus still tormented. Dear, but remember it was I who for thy sake did die contented. Come again, sweet love doth now invite thy graces that refrain to do me due delight, to see, to hear, to touch, to kiss, to die with thee again in sweetest sympathy. To see, to hear, to touch, to kiss, to die with thee again in sweetest sympathy. Come again, that I may cease to mourn through thy unkind disdain. For now left and forlorn, I sit, I sigh, I weep, I faint, I die in deadly pain and endless misery. I sit, I sigh, I weep, I faint, I die in deadly pain and endless misery. All the night my sleep is full of dreams. My eyes are full of streams. My heart takes no delight to see the fruits and joys that some do find, and mark the storms that are to me assigned to see the fruits and joys that some do find, and mark the storms that are to me assigned. Flow, my tears, fall from your springs, exiled forever. Let me mourn when night's blackbird her sad infamy sings. There let me live forlorn. Down, vain lights, shine you no more. No nights are dark enough for those that in despair their last fortunes deplore. Light doth but shame disclose. Never may my woes be relieved, since pity is fled, and tears and sighs and groans my weary days, of all joys have deprived. From the highest spire of contentment my fortune is thrown, and fear and grief and pain for my deserts, are my hopes, since hope is gone. Hark, you shadows that in darkness dwell, learn to contemn light. Happy, happy they that in hell feel not the world's despite. Hark, you shadows that in darkness dwell, learn to contemn light. Happy, happy they that in
Good evening. It's wonderful to be playing for you tonight and to be introducing you to my friend and colleague, John Wright. We're going to play 3 songs by Joaquin Rodrigo, and guitarists know Rodrigo for the famous Concierto de Aranjuez, but these are songs that he wrote for voice and piano, arranged for guitar by Marco Socias.
Con che l'alabare la testa della mia cara, con che l'alabare, con che l'alabare, che vivo malpennata. Lávanse las casadas con agua de limones. Lavome yo cuitada, lavome yo cuitada, con penas y dolores. Con penas y dolores. Vos me mataste, niña en cabello, vos me habéis muerto, vos me habéis muerto. Vos me mataste, niña en cabello, vos me mataste. Vos me habéis muerto, vos me mataste, niña en cabello, vos me habéis muerto. Riberas de un río, riberas de un río, vimos a Virgen, vimos a Virgen, niña De los álamos vengo, madre, de ver cómo los menea el aire. De los álamos vengo, madre, de ver cómo los menea el aire. De los álamos vengo, madre, de ver cómo los menea el aire. De los álamos vengo, madre, de ver cómo los menea el aire. De los álamos de Sevilla, de ver a mi linda amiga. De los álamos vengo, madre, de ver cómo los menea el aire. De los álamos de Sevilla, de ver a mi linda amiga.
So we're going to begin the spirituals section of our program, and I'll start by playing a spiritual that was arranged for classical guitar by Raphael Scarfullery. And this was a piece that was unknown to me, but John introduced me to it, and I've since completely fallen in love with it. Hope you enjoy.
Hello again, everyone. It will be very difficult to follow that rendition of Let Us Break Bread. That was beautiful, Danielle. There are over 6,000 melodies that evolved out of the slave fields. Beautiful melodies that, quite frankly, help people survive the day. And we owe a lot to the enslaved people of this country. And to me, they are our original poets. And you'll hear that in these incredible lyrics. We have 4 spirituals arranged by various composers. The first 2 spirituals are what I would call witnessing spirituals. And they witness in very different ways. One is more storytelling, narrative, and the other one is more slow and meditative. And have to give hats off, shout to my colleague again, Danielle, who arranged for guitar. The first piece was made known by Roland Hayes, the great tenor, and Danielle has arranged it for guitar. So, witness.
My soul is a witness for my Lord. 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 You read about Adam, he was the first. God created him out of the dust. Then God made a woman and he called her Eve. He told her not to eat of the forbidden tree. Now that's the first witness for my Lord. That's the first witness for my Lord. You read again and you'll understand. Methuselah was the oldest man. He lived 969. He died and went to heaven, Lord, in due time. Methuselah was a witness for my Lord. Methuselah was a witness for my Lord. You read about Samson from his birth. He was the strongest man on earth. Samson went out at one time. He killed 10,000 of the Philistines. Delilah fooled Samson, this we know, for the Holy Bible tells us so. She shaved his hair just as clean as your hand, and his strength became as a common man. Now that's another witness for my Lord. Now that's another witness for my Lord. Daniel was a Hebrew child who went to pray to his God for a while. The king at once for Daniel did send, and he put him down in the lion's den. The Lord sent an angel the lions for to keep. Then Daniel laid down and he went to sleep. Daniel was a witness. Now who will be a witness? Daniel was a witness. Who will be a witness? Oh, who will be a witness for my Lord? a child that do love Jesus. Here's one. Here's one. Talk about a child that do love Jesus. Here's one. Here's one. In old Satan's snares I once was falling, but I heard the voice of my Lord calling. Talk about a child that do love Jesus. Here's one. Talk about a child that's been converted. Here's one. Here's one. Talk about a child that's been converted. Here's one. Here's one. Ever since I learned the gospel story, I've been walking up the path to glory. Talk about a child that's been converted. Here's one.
So at this point in our Spain to Spirituals concerts, we like to get the audience involved. The audience becomes the response to our call. And in this next piece, there's a perfect opportunity. It's called I've Got a Home. You might know it by its name, Ain't a That Good News. So it goes sort of like this. I got a home up in that kingdom, ain't a that good news, ain't a that good news. And that's where you would come in. So I encourage you to sit back and be the response and add harmonies too, because we might just be able to hear you.
I got a home up in that kingdom, ain't a that good news. I got a home up in that kingdom, ain't that good news? I'm gonna lay down this world, gonna shoulder up my cross, gonna take it home to my Jesus, ain't that good news? I got a crown up in that kingdom, ain't that good news? I got a crown up in that kingdom, ain't that good news? I'm gonna lay down this world, I'm gonna shoulder up my cross, gonna take it home to my Jesus, ain't that good news? I got a robe up in that kingdom, ain't that good news? I got a robe up in that kingdom, ain't that good news? I'm gonna lay down this world, I'm gonna shoulder up my cross, I'm gonna take it home to my Jesus, ain't that good news? I got a crown up in that kingdom, ain't that good news? I got a robe up in that kingdom, ain't that good news?
Our final spiritual also has a home theme, but is expressed in a very different way. It's really unfathomable what the concept of home would have meant for an enslaved person. But we honor them by singing these songs. I want to thank Marlow for inviting us into their home, and thank you for inviting us into your homes. And thank you, Danielle, for being the north to my south. So this has been a lot of fun, and thank you so much.
I am a poor pilgrim of sorrow. I'm tossed in this wide world alone. No hope have I for tomorrow. So I've started to make heaven my home. Sometimes I am storm-tossed and driven, Lord. Sometimes I don't know where to roam, but I have heard of a city called heaven, and I've started to make it my home. My mother has reached that pure glory. My father's still walking in sin. My brothers and sisters won't own me because I'm trying to get in. Sometimes I am stormy storm-tossed and driven, Lord. Sometimes I don't know where to roam, but I've heard of a city called heaven, so I've started to make it my home. Sometimes I am storm-tossed and driven, Lord. Sometimes I don't know where to roam, but I've heard of a city called heaven, and I've started to make it my home. My home. My home. My Thank you so much, everybody. What is that I hear? Ah, cheering for an encore. Did you hear that, Daniel, right? Again, we've had so much fun this evening, and we think that it's fitting to end the evening in the spirit of African American History Month, in the spirit of diversity, anti-racism, inclusion, and this beautiful song, which really hasn't gotten its due, is called Brown Baby, and it's written by Oscar Brown Jr. Brown baby, as you grow up, I want you to drink from the plenty cup. I want you to stand up tall and proud. I want you to speak up clear and loud. Brown baby, brown baby, brown baby, as years roll by, I want you to go with your head held high. I want you to live by the justice code. I want you to walk down freedom's road. Brown baby, now lie away sleeping. Lie away here in my arms while your daddy and mommy protect you and keep you safe from harm. glad that you will have things that I've never had. When out of men's hearts all the hate is hurled, you're gonna live in a better world.